The strangest drug ever studied. Featuring.
This is test subject 34. She's just been given a substance often described as the most powerful psychedelic drug in the world. It makes her feel like she's being launched into outer space. Other users report near-death experiences, profound insights, and mythical encounters with spiritual beings.
Okay, listen. This is the craziest thing. I don't want to take. I've shroomed out before. I don't want to take nothing. I don't want to take DMT. But the fact these niggas are all saying they see colors and things they don't understand, and the stories are similar every time. There has to be a hidden key in there somewhere. Keep it real.
The drug appears to shake the very foundations of human perception.
Oh my God.
It is one of the most weird and unexpected things a person can go through.
We're talking about dimethyltryptamine, or DMT. In its pure synthetic form, it looks like an inconspicuous crystalline powder.
It's a very simple molecule.
And yet, DMT has been puzzling scientists around the globe for more than a century. The substance has been used in indigenous cultures for thousands of years. It occurs naturally in plants, animals, and even in the human body. But when it interacts with our brain, things seem to go completely off the rails. Many users say DMT fundamentally changed their lives. And yet, other experiences suggest there's more to DMT than profound revelations, mystical encounters.
My nigga, if I seen that while tripping out on DMT, is this still tripping out? This is the scariest shit I've ever seen. What the fuck are them symbols? Come on.
And medical promise. For some people,
Is
the
that Peter
substance
Parker?
can also open doors to the darkest corners
hell
of their
no.
consciousness. This is the enduring mystery of DMT.
I've had this conversation, and I'd like y'all insight on it. Have y'all, like a lot of people say they take, like I took shrooms because I wanted to have an ego death. I'm gonna keep it real. I don't think I really had one. But are y'all scared to do that? I heard somebody say that they wouldn't want to do that. Not even just saying to take drugs. Is the ego death scary to y'all? I never even thought about that till that exact moment.
November
one.
1852. This is British botanist Richard Spruce. For the past 3 years, he's been making his way through the Amazon rainforest to study plants.
What year is it?
For the November 1852. This is British botanist Richard Spruce. For the past 3 years, he's been making his way through the Amazon rainforest to study plants. He's particularly interested in mosses. Along the way, he keeps encountering indigenous communities living deep in the jungle. He learns their languages and studies their customs. Right now,
What? Lock the door.
Spruce is staying with an indigenous group in what is now northwestern Brazil. Today is a special occasion. The tribe is about to hold a spiritual ceremony, and at the center of it all is this ritual brew. Its key ingredient is a specific type of liana. Indigenous people have been drinking or chewing it for thousands of years. Some groups call it napa, others bako, or pinde. This group calls it kapi. And tonight, Spruce is going to try it himself. He watches several young members of the community.
You gotta be a trustworthy nigga. If I just seen a bunch of these people, damn near booty ass naked, offering me some drugs, and this nigga still took it, boy, he dedicated to the craft. He gotta learn. I respect it.
Drink the mixture before him. He notes that, for about 10 minutes, they appear to be possessed with reckless fury. Then they calm down and simply continue dancing. Then it's his turn. But the tribe didn't just prepare kapi for him.
I had scarcely dispatched 1 cup of the nauseous beverage when the ruler of the feast came up with a woman bearing a large calabash of mandioca beer called kashiri.
After that, protocol demands that he top things off with a cigar and a cup of palm wine. Spruce has to fight off the urge to vomit and stretches out in a hammock. The kapi is slowly kicking in. He later notes in his journal that white men taking kapi all seem to report the same experience.
White men?
They feel alternations of cold and heat, fear and boldness. The sight is disturbed, and visions pass.
Are they saying DMT varies by your race? Boy, nigga, we just cracked the code.
Rapidly before the eyes,
I don't want to take it no more.
wherein everything gorgeous and magnificent they have heard or read of seems combined, and presently the scene changes to things uncouth and horrible.
Hey, this is Jonas, one of the founders of Fern. It's not just psychedelics that can shape our minds. Our thoughts and emotions are more now and become serious. That's why we encourage.
See how you put it in there. Pause. That I better
Spruce
help,
calls
man.
the plant
Get your mental
Banisteria
health right.
caapi. Banisteria was the term used at the time for a class of tropical climbing plants. Caapi is an indigenous word for grass. He samples a couple of those vines, dries them, and has them shipped to England. Over the following years, Spruce keeps traveling to South America and repeatedly comes across caapi. One of these encounters takes place in 1857 among an indigenous group in Peru.
Later.
They also use the vine to prepare a powerful brew. They mix it with other plants and call it ayahuasca. Spruce apparently doesn't drink it himself this time. Instead, he asks the locals to describe their experiences to him. To Spruce, the brew remains an unsolved mystery. He simply can't figure out which particular substances cause these extreme effects.
That is crazy.
He's already familiar with opium and cannabis, but caapi seems to be much more potent. What he doesn't realize is that he's been looking in the wrong place.
Damn. We've been around since 1853 or 57.
The plant he sent back to Europe isn't the key ingredient. Technically, it's not the liana or Banisteria caapi that produces the intoxicating effect. The real trigger is a special compound found in the leaves mixed into the brew. DMT, more precisely, N-DMT.
Wow.
Its molecular structure is surprisingly simple compared to other psychedelics.
We need to fuck with them other shits. We're gonna find another video for LSD and psilocybin. As a matter of fact, if you got it, put it in the comments.
Its complete name is N-dimethyltryptamine, but we'll simply refer to it as DMT throughout this video. German-Canadian chemist Richard Mansk was the first to synthesize the substance in the early 1930s. Back then, he had no idea of its extraordinary psychoactive effects. At its core, DMT is characterized by a nitrogen atom bonded to two methyl groups, hence the name dimethyl. A methyl group consists of one carbon atom bonded to three hydrogen atoms. It's one of the simplest building blocks in organic chemistry. The nitrogen atom is connected via a short carbon chain to the most important part of the molecular structure, the so-called indole ring.
I took A+ biology, so I know all this shit.
The same structural
Biology?
feature can also be found in other known psychedelics like LSD or psilocybin, and within the molecular structure of serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter, a molecule that carries chemical messages or signals between
What
nerve
about
cells.
testosterone?
It plays a key role in some of our most essential bodily functions, from mood, sleep, digestion, and nausea, to wound healing and sexual desire. Because of their structural similarity, psychedelics like DMT can bind to the same receptors usually used
Hold on. Like, imagine hitting some shit on some.
by serotonin.
I'm going. I would have end up having 17 kids, and they all brainiacs because I just
They're
went
like
so
key
stupid.
locks. And drugs are like specific keys that act on specific key locks. And so these classic psychedelic drugs, with which DMT is one of them, act on specific key locks in the brain, and specifically these serotonin receptors in the brain.
This is Chris Timmerman. He's a neuroscientist and one of the world's leading researchers on DMT. He spends much of his time traveling for research, so we're lucky enough to catch him on a video call. It's likely that DMT was also the main active compound in the brew that Spruce encountered back in the jungle. Today, that mixture is widely known as ayahuasca. To produce it, you mainly need two ingredients. The first one consists of plants that contain DMT. They grow across large parts of the Amazon basin, though not exclusively there. The second ingredient is the caapi liana, documented by Spruce. It doesn't contain.
I know this may. I hope this don't offend nobody, but somebody said, would it be so crazy to think that somebody took one of these wild ass drugs and created a religion from it? Don't get mad. Just think about the theory. That is wild to me to think about personally.
DMT itself, but it is crucial for making the DMT in the brew psychoactive. Mixing and boiling the two together produces the psychedelic plant drink known as ayahuasca. Psychedelics are generally considered physiologically safe and non-addictive. That's one of the key differences between them and drugs like cocaine or amphetamines. Those
Put
primarily
weed
act
there.
as stimulants.
Thank you.
They artificially increase dopamine and neuroepinephrine levels in the brain and strongly activate our reward system.
I might try some cocaine for y'all.
Psychedelics, on the other hand, alter perception itself. Users may see or
That
hear
is
things that aren't
crazy.
there, hallucinate, and lose their sense of time and space. Some report life-changing experiences, hallucinate, and lose their sense of time and
Nigga, you can hear shit that ain't there? I didn't know all that. Oh, yeah, never mind, y'all. I don't know. DMT stream not coming soon.
space. Some report life-changing experiences. In many ways, psychedelic substances seem to fundamentally alter how we think and feel, which is precisely why DMT continues to fascinate scientists to this day.
In terms of the
Yeah,
psychological
bro. It be fascinating us sometimes. Like, it challenges science and shit like that.
impact of the experiences, in terms of the subjective effects it generates, it is one of the most weird and unexpected things a person can go through.
April 19th, 1943, a bike path near Basel in Switzerland. This is Swiss chemist Albert Hofmann. He works as a researcher for a Swiss pharmaceutical company. Riding next to him is his lab assistant. He explicitly asked her to come along. He's desperately trying to get home. Earlier that day, he started conducting an experiment on himself. He dissolved 250 grams of lysergic acid, diethylamide, in water and ingested it. He had synthesized the compound in the lab after isolating it from the ergot fungus. And right now, he's feeling a bit under
That
the
was
weather.
another April Fool's joke.
Everything in my field of vision wavered and was distorted as if seen in a curved mirror. I also had the sensation of being unable to move from the spot. Nevertheless, my assistant later told me that we had traveled very rapidly.
Stretching out on the couch back home
You're
doesn't
sweating.
help much either.
My surroundings had now transformed.
I did deal with this while I was off shrooms. This exact moment,
Stretching out on the couch back home doesn't help much either.
My surroundings
I swear to God, I was watching a nigga play 2K. He was the Lakers. Nigga, they jerseys was green. But I watched this one show. Hold on. I gotta give them credit where credit is due. Show to watch on Psycha. Damn, what? No, bro. What was it called? What was it called? Here we go. The Midnight Gospel. I don't know if somebody who was in Adventure Time made this. It reminds me a lot of it, but bro, this made me calm down, bro. This shit made so much sense in the time. Bro, it was so much shit going on in the background that it really helped me calm down. Shout out to Midnight Gospel.
had now transformed themselves in more terrifying ways. Everything
Okay. I gotta stop pausing the video, but bro, my moment of clarity when I took shrooms, I walked outside and it's snowing. Cold to the motherfucker. I walk outside. I'm not a big fan of snow. I don't care about snow, but the sound of snow damn near makes me hate the snow. Like stepping on it and shit. I walked outside, nigga, looked at that snow glitter on the ground, nigga. That shit was beautiful, nigga. That was some of the most beautiful shit I've ever seen. I start crying. Nigga, I start crying. Like, this shit beautiful. This shit means something to me. Bro, I will never forget that moment. Like, I'm like, nigga, life ain't so bad. Like,
in the room
Tell
spun
you,
around,
cuz.
and familiar objects and pieces of furniture assumed grotesque, threatening forms. They were in constant motion, animated as if driven by an inner restlessness. The lady next door, whom I scarcely recognized, brought me milk. She was no longer Mrs. R, but appeared instead as a malevolent, insidious witch wearing a colored mask.
Albert Hofmann
Imagine an alien visits you while you on shrooms or psychedelics. And like, I feel like in my mind, if I know somebody's coming, I'll just try to calm down. Like, there's no way I'm seeing what I'm seeing. So get the fuck out of my face as fast as possible. But imagine an alien or some bullshit comes to see you. I got a theory that psychedelics, if there was aliens and the shit we be seeing, when we take psychedelics, the strong ass ones, the figures we be seeing is real time. They just live in a whole nother dimension, so we can't even see them. There are colors that we can't see, that we can't fathom. That'd be dope. Movie coming soon.
Hoffman has just embarked on the world's first LSD trip. He has no idea what the
Damn.
substance does. He believed 250 micrograms to be prudently safe dose, but it turns out to be extraordinarily potent. And now he fears he
It's
may lose his
busting on me.
mind. A few hours later, the effects slowly begin to soften. The trip becomes more pleasant. As he steps out into his garden after a spring rain, it feels as though he's seeing everything
This is
for
what
the
I'm
very
talking
first
about.
time.
Everything glistened and sparkled in a fresh light.
From that day on, Hoffman is convinced that this tiny molecule holds enormous power, that it could someday be of great value to medicine and psychiatry. His discovery
Is that true? Has psychedelics been able to help people? Like, has it been able to advance technology? I truly believe like an ego death or whatever can help you out. Like when I was on shrooms, I had to deal with a lot of shit that was emotionally holding me back. Not to say that that fixed everything, but it made me come to terms with it. It made me admit it. It was beautiful, bro. It was a great experience in hindsight, but I didn't start panicking because nigga, I called my homies. He was like, bro, don't go to sleep. If you go to sleep, nigga, you're not gonna live. What you mean, nigga?
jumpstarts the entire field of psychedelic research. Hoffman inspires many other scientists to follow his lead, and in the 1950s, he becomes the first to isolate the psychoactive compound psilocybin from psychedelic mushrooms. That's another major milestone. But psychedelic research also
the same
turns its
dude?
attention to DMT. Scientists discover more and more plants that contain the substance. To date, it has been found in at least 50 different plant species. DMT has also been found in mammals like rats and rabbits. In the 1960s, a German researcher team even found traces of the substance in human blood. Shortly after, U.S. Nobel Prize-winning scientist
Ain't there a thing like a spinal gland thing in dome? Like a spinal gland thing in the right here, whoop the wham, that they say has hints of something?
Julius Axelrod provided evidence that DMT occurs naturally in the human brain. It's even considered endogenous,
Nigga, my thirsty ass couldn't just wait a few.
meaning our own bodies produce it naturally.
There's a saying that says DMT is everywhere, and it is also found in the human body and in a lot of mammals' bodies as well.
Throughout the 1960s, scientists keep isolating DMT in humans, animals, and plants. And meanwhile, psychedelics are starting to seep into popular culture.
Hey, y'all niggas better, some of y'all, I know y'all hate drugs, but some of y'all niggas better respect drugs. Because niggas made some of y'all favorite music off that shit and you just don't know. A nigga made the best song you've ever heard off cocaine. I swear. Come on, you better quit playing.
How often have you taken LSD?
About 4 times.
The swinging 60s are the peak years of the hippie movement, and psychedelics like
How often does like niggas take psychedelics though? Like, bro, you can't pop that shit like weed, bro. Niggas just doing psychedelics like cigarettes, bro. You can't do that. I remember the thing I seen, it said wait at least a week. Boy,
LSD.
you probably
The
die.
Cultural Revolution is fueled by activists, intellectuals, and artists alike. One of them is Terence McKenna. He is
I've
just
heard of
studying
him.
at Berkeley. He's 18 years old and has already done his fair share of
Nigga, you 18 at this point in time? Nigga, I'm just now getting a little. Hold on, camera. You better not hold me. Look, bro, I got. Hold on. Wait, if I turn the green screen on, you'll be able to see the little hairs a little. Yeah, see, look, you know, I'm grinding and shit. Y'all don't give a fuck.
experiments with psychedelics like LSD. But what he is about to experience tonight will eclipse everything he has ever felt.
It's crazy.
A friend has come to visit and brought this white crystalline
Who in the Resident Evil is that?
powder. He claims it was stolen from a U.S. Army chemical research facility. It's DMT. And for the first time in his life, young Terence McKenna is about to smoke it.
I had this hallucination of tumbling forward
Oh.
into these fractal geometric shapes made of light, and then I
Me and my nigga RJ, shout out my nigga RJ, bro. We would just make jokes like, nigga, what if somebody touched you and you just went to a realm? And this is what we be thinking about, bro. Me, DMT stream featuring RJ coming
found
soon.
myself in the equivalent of the Pope's
I wish we could VR do it so y'all can see what we see.
private chapel, and there were insect elf machines proffering strange little tablets with strange writing on them. These self-transformed
I feel like if I do this shit, I'm gonna somehow end up in Attack on Titan, bro. I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna push through. I'm gonna persevere, nigga.
Machine elf
Sweet
creatures
shit,
were
damn.
speaking in a colored language which condensed into rotating machines that were like Fabergé eggs. All this stuff was so weird and so alien and so un-Englishable that it was a complete shock. I mean, the literal turning inside out of my intellectual universe. It's like being struck by noetic lightning.
The experience completely changes McKenna's view of life and reality.
Him saying is changing my life.
He becomes convinced that there is another secret world, one we normally can't see or access. He drops out of university to chase this mystery. He travels to Nepal to meet Tibetan shamans. He works as a professional butterfly collector in Indonesia, and he ventures deep into the Colombian jungle with his brother and 3 friends. McKenna's description of the so-called machine elves becomes a cultural reference. Countless DMT users later report encountering mystical entities that closely match.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm not trying to be a theory nigga, but there's no way it's a fucking coincidence these niggas all see him. If that's what he just said, they all see this nigga.
He described. He dies in 2000, leaving behind an extensive audio archive with over 500 hours of theories on psychedelics and spirituality.
A drug like synthetic ayahuasca, pharmawaska.
Boy, that shit changed my nigga life for real, boy.
Do people realize this is the same thing as has been taken for thousands of years down there? Do they realize its role in shamanic healing?
By the late 1960s, authorities began cracking down on the widespread drug use in the US.
Well, you know, I mean, if I was to say where I got it from, you know, it's illegal and everything. It's silly to say that.
In 1966, California and Nevada become the first states to outlaw the production, sale, and possession of LSD. 2 years later, the drug is banned across the entire country.
America's public enemy number 1 is drug abuse.
America's
But
war on drugs soon
LSD,
extends to much
nigga?
of the rest of the world. In 1971, the United Nations adopts the Convention on
And
Psychotropic.
this is why niggas have theories that this shit does mean something. Y'all fucking banned it? Like, oh, was there murders? Was there deaths because of this shit? Why are they banning it? Is it? I'm really, again, it's hard for me to comprehend that it was that serious. And y'all making it seem this serious is why niggas think this shit means something.
substances. Many countries outlaw psychedelic substances and sharply restrict their use, including DMT. From that point on, only a handful of approved scientific institutions are allowed to continue their research on them, and even they have to adhere to.
Okay, but should it even be just legal though? Because now I'm starting to see why. Because you probably don't want it should not be over, but y'all should make it. Because bro, if you it's just like telling a kid that you can't do something now. That's gonna be the number one thing they want to do. So if you're gonna make something illegal, now people are gonna really try to sneak and do it. Now niggas gonna overtax. Now it can really cause the uproar. I'm not saying make crack legal. That's not what I'm saying, but I think this is the type of thing that it shouldn't be illegal to do, but it should be some regulations on it, so people don't crash out, flame out.
Extremely strict regulations. For decades, DMT research effectively grinds to a halt.
The whole class of compounds got pulled off the clinical bench,
Nigga,
and no
I almost
research
thought that
has
was
gone
Bill
on
Nye.
for 40 years.
One of the tragedies to me is that the clinical research on these substances pretty much stopped around 1970.
Chapter 3. Looks like 30.
Dr. Rick Strassman is a psychiatrist. He's set on
My
bringing
nigga
psychedelic
Rick.
research back to life. His study is the first attempt to observe the effects of psychedelic substances in humans in the US in over 20 years. He wants to know what DMT does to our mind and body. The participants are numbered.
It's 30.
Sarah is subject 34. She's in her early 40s and lives with her second husband. She has 3 children and works as a freelance writer.
Oh God, why you have to say second husband? You know what? Just for historical data.
She has told the researchers that an angel once visited her when she had a high fever as a child, and that every now and then she communicates with spirit guides for advice and support. She also suffers from depression. In her 20s, she
Is this prior to the psychedelics? Is that
overdosed on tranquilizers and was hospitalized for 2 weeks following the suicide attempt. Today, she wants to find out whether DMT can help her gain a deeper understanding of herself and her relationship to the universe. The experiment is set to begin in just a few seconds. The onset of DMT's effects largely depend on how you consume it. Most recreational users smoke DMT using a glass pipe.
Hold on. What the fuck is that third image? What is that third image? Is that a frog?
This makes the effects kick in extremely fast, usually in under 1 minute. The peak experience tends to last only a couple of minutes before wearing off. The smoke tastes unpleasant and can trigger coughing fits. Another substance closely related to N and DMT is called 5-MeO-DMT. This YouTuber smoked it for one of his videos.
I don't think I want to do it.
Others try to consume it like this. 5-MeO-DMT occurs naturally in secretions of the Colorado River toad. A common misconception is that licking the toad will get you high. It won't, and it can be extremely toxic. Most research today focuses on synthetic 5-MeO-DMT. It also kicks in very fast and strong, but tends to produce far fewer visual hallucinations than N and DMT. DMT can also be snorted. In that case, the effects take a few minutes to kick in, but the trip also lasts a bit longer. Ayahuasca usually contains the highest dose of DMT. The effects begin after around 45 minutes and can last several hours. But the brew is tough on the stomach. Many people have to throw up during the trip. Two things are paramount for a pleasant DMT experience.
What happens if you throw up during it?
Set and setting. The right mix of emotional stability and soothing surroundings.
This is what I learned about.
Experts recommend a calm environment where users feel safe and are able to lie down comfortably. Mixing substances can be extremely dangerous.
I ain't gonna lie, I did smoke weed while I was... I don't know, bro. I stopped. I didn't smoke for real. I probably smoked a tad bit of a bowl and then I stopped. I'm like, bro, I don't want to be no more high. I don't know why.
Some users avoid alcohol, masturbation, and watching the news before attending an ayahuasca retreat. But not even the best preparation can guarantee DMT won't produce what many call...
I was about to say, I'm getting some coochie off tripping at least one. My nigga, you was on... I'm telling you, I'm having 17 babies.
Bad trip. Some users online describe experiences that leave them shaken for days, with flashbacks to vivid hallucinations of falling or flying through tunnels, and encounters with frightening beings. Psychedelics can...
Please, just make me invincible for a day, bro. Even if I'm getting my ass beat, bro. Just let me have the vibe, bro.
Also worsen existing mental health issues. People who suffer from psychotic disorders or are mentally unstable should not take them. In general, DMT should never be used without professional guidance.
I'm just playing.
Sarah's experience will be guided.
I did not have a trip sitter either. I was alone. But I don't recommend that because I see why niggas might. I damn near almost harm myself.
By Dr. Strassman. In clinical settings like this one, DMT is administered via IV injection. It hits almost instantly. Sarah has previously been given a low introductory dose to see how her body reacts to the substance. Recreational users are advised to start with similar test doses. Sarah's low-dose experience has been pleasant and relaxing. Now she's about to receive 5 full doses. She will go on 5 consecutive trips. After each one, Strassman will let her come down to check in with her. She's all set. Sarah can feel the cool touch of Strassman's hand, and she's trying to count her heartbeats.
I got to 3 beats. Then there was a sound. Like a hum that turned into a whoosh. And then I was blasted out of my body at such speed, with such force, as if it were the speed of light. The colors were aggressive, terrifying. I felt as if they would consume me. As if I were on a warp speed conveyor belt heading straight into the cosmic, psychedelic buzzsaw. I was terrified. I felt abandoned. I'm completely and totally lost. I have never been so alone.
It ain't funny, but like, she probably mad at her fucking doctor.
Relax. Surrender. Embrace. It was all flashing and whirling lights. I was rather disappointed. Here I'm expecting this profound spiritual experience, and I get Las Vegas. But then, before I had much time to be disappointed, I flew on and saw clowns performing. They were like toys or animated clowns. I had the overwhelming urge to laugh. I was kind of self-conscious about it at first, but I couldn't contain myself, and I laughed out loud watching those clowns. Suddenly, a pulsating entity appeared in the patterns. It sounds weird to describe it as Tinkerbell-like. It was trying to coax me to go with it. At first, I was reluctant. I did want to go with it. I could tell the drug was starting to wear off, and I wasn't high enough to follow it. I told it I can't go with you now. See, they want me back. It didn't seem to be offended and, in fact, followed me back until I sensed it had reached its boundary. I felt like it was saying goodbye.
Sarah needs a short break. The start of her trip has been especially intense. That's something Timmerman hears from many of his own participants.
People can feel, especially at the beginning of the experience, that they're being launched from a rocket, as if they're like going into outer space and they're in a rocket. And so there's a strong feeling of energy. And
we need this thumbnail. Come on.
a rocket, as if they're like going into outer space and they're in a rocket. And so there's a strong feeling of energy and vibrations in their body. They are interacting with beings, spirits, entities, jesters, clowns, a range of different ways in which people see these beings that interact with the participants, that they engage with them, invite them to something, to communicate, and so forth and so on.
Encounters with such beings seem to be a common experience in many DMT trips. For one of his studies, Timmerman analyzed nearly 4,000 DMT experiences posted on Reddit. Almost half mentioned similar entity encounters. In a 2021 field study with 36 participants, almost everyone reported an encounter with some sort of sentient being. But how do these encounters actually unfold? That's what Baltimore's Johns Hopkins University DMT users in an online survey. The first question was about the primary senses involved in the encounter. Most participants reported seeing them, and more than half described hearing them. About a third said they could touch them, while some could even smell or taste them. A whopping 85% described their encounter.
Nigga, you seen entity and you decided to lick it?
As extra.
If you could lick it though, nigga, that I don't give a fuck. That shit exists.
Sensory or telepathic. The most common descriptive labels for the entities were beings, guides, spirits, aliens, and helpers. Less common labels were clowns, demons, gnomes, monsters, or devils. As to the emotions involved, most participants reported feelings of love, trust, and joy. Only a minority experienced fear. 11% believed they had encountered religious figures, meaning some people think they saw God in these beings.
This is what some of the research has found, and some people have reported that. And it is interesting because, in a way, God is a personification of these spiritual or mystical-like qualities according to certain religions, and it seems that DMT stimulates those sort of experiences.
DMT appears to have a significant impact on people's religious beliefs and their sense of spirituality. This study surveyed users who reported so-called God encounter experiences during psychedelic trips. 25% described them as atheists before their trip, meaning they didn't believe in God. Afterwards, their number dropped to just 7%.
Damn.
Among ayahuasca users, atheist identification declined from 12 to 3%.
Wow.
Sarah, too, is deeply moved by these encounters. She's about to receive her final injection.
I went directly into deep space. They knew I was coming back. They told me there were many things they could share with us when we learn how to make more extended contact.
What happens if you leave with them, though?
Again, they wanted something from me, not just physical information. They were interested in emotions and feelings. I told them, we have something we can give you, spirituality.
Hey, on some real shit, I feel like the difference between if there was aliens out there, like we're aliens too, technically. But I think the thing our species has as humans is that we may be the only living thing with emotion. Like things that live on Earth. Like I think that would be something they would care about.
I guess what I really meant was love. I tried to figure out how to do this. I felt a tremendous energy, brilliant pink light with white edges, building on my left side. I knew it was spiritual energy and love. They were on my right, so I reached out my hands across the universe and prepared to be a bridge. I let this energy pass through me to them. I said something like, see, there I did it for you. You have it. They were grateful. I was coming down off the DMT, losing altitude.
Sarah didn't expect to become what she called an earthly spiritual emissary during her trip. She doesn't feel comfortable with that role, but has done her best to live up to it. Now it's the next participant's turn. number 35. Over the course of 5 years, Strassman observes hundreds of these trips. He administers about 400 doses of DMT to 60 volunteers. He eventually calls DMT the spirit molecule because of the spiritual and metaphysical experiences it appears to induce. Strassman's work in the 1990s was groundbreaking research, but it also raised more questions than it could answer. Since then, many neuroscientists have picked up where he left off. So what's actually happening inside our brain when we take DMT?
Chapter 4.
Modern neuroscience suggests that our brain has a hierarchical modular organization. Modular means that certain nerve cells work together in different types of clusters or brain networks, specialized in specific functions. There appears to only be a limited amount of communication between these networks. Hierarchical means that higher order areas, like the prefrontal cortex, collect signals from different areas across the brain to coordinate appropriate responses. But that entire organization seems to pretty much collapse when our brain is on DMT. The key players here are these special serotonin receptors. They determine how sensitive neurons react to incoming signals. That, in turn, impacts how information is transmitted and processed within and across brain regions. When DMT binds to these receptors, the brain's usual top-down control mechanisms become less effective. It's like the neurochemical reins come off. One of the experts we talked to thinks DMT makes the brain become more democratic. Another calls it anarchy. Either way, the brain suddenly enters a state in which far more areas communicate with each other than usual. Scientists call this global hyperconnectivity. It's completely different from how the brain normally operates. But how does this explain these extremely vivid hallucinations? Why do some users feel as if they're entering an entirely different reality? One explanation is that the brain sort of disconnects from external information. In this paper, Chris Timmerman proposes that DMT disrupts the brain's normal way of processing sensory input. The technical term is functional deafferentation.
It's a state of disconnected consciousness. We're disconnected from the external environment individuals feel.
Instead, the brain shifts into a completely new state, a kind of internal simulation.
They report that they are in an immersive world of experience.
But where does this other world come from? One clue to unravel this mystery could be dreaming. All those weird things that happen in our dreams seem similar to what people describe on DMT.
They are disconnected from their immediate environments, and their own brains and
does
the
our
organism
brain
as a
produce
whole
DMT
is
while we
reconstructing an alternative world of experience. It's very similar to what happens during DMT experiences.
Timmerman and colleagues found that the strongest rhythms of theta waves in the brain correlate with the peak of a DMT trip. The same patterns are found during REM sleep. He writes that a DMT trip is like dreaming with your eyes open, except that DMT trips are usually far more intense and vivid than normal dreams. Neuroscientist Andrew Gallimore has a theory about why that is. In our dreams, the brain sort of rebuilds our real-life experiences, drawing on established patterns of information. But on DMT, those familiar templates come undone. Everything becomes more open, chaotic, and unpredictable.
It's like you're seeing the world anew, like you've never seen it before. Your brain, you haven't decided what you're seeing. And coupled with this increased sensitivity to sensory information, the world becomes transcendent. It becomes much more vivid.
Which brings us to one of the wildest DMT experiences of all, encountering spiritual entities or sentient beings. There are different theories about these types of encounters. One study examined how these two brain regions behave under the influence of DMT. These areas are essential for recognizing social cues and processing the emotional dynamics of human interaction.
So when we have our normal experiences and we interact with our partners or co-workers, our sons and daughters, these same systems also start engaging in the brain.
In turn, these areas become active when we try to understand someone else's thoughts and feelings, or more specifically, when we try to distinguish their mental state from our own.
So right now we're working with a hypothesis based on what we found, that in essence what DMT does, it engages parts of what we call social cognition, the ways in which we build up our relationships in the world.
In the hyperconnected DMT brain, these two regions engage far more intensely with each other and with other areas.
And so we believe that that enhances or pronounces or enables the appearances of these beings or entities. It's almost as if we simulate those social relations.
Put simply, the brain massively ramps up its resources for processing social signals. and that could explain why so many DMT users encounter these entities or beings. Another key to understanding the substance could be just how similar DMT trips seem to feel to so-called near-death experiences. Such experiences can occur during traffic accidents, suicide attempts, and cardiac arrests. Many report a sense of brightness, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, losing track of time and space, or gaining insight into some ultimate truth.
The features that are similar
Can
to
I be on
near-death
DMT when I
experiences and
die?
the DMT experiences are that feeling that many people have, that they have reached a sort of boundary or a limit of where they can go in this alternate reality or universe.
Timmerman thinks these near-death experiences could also be linked to global hyperconnectivity.
That is such a big transformation of the mind, such a big transformation of the brain, that it is likely that the brain is sending a signal that it's dying, that it is being transformed beyond recognition.
In other words, there's so much going on in the brain during a DMT trip that the brain blows all of its fuses. It basically thinks it's dying. And yet, there's one major difference between DMT trips and near-death experiences.
DMT is more visual, and near-death experiences are more disembodied.
Then again, near-death experiences are also far from being fully understood. This makes it even harder to draw reliable scientific conclusions with regard to DMT. Back in the 90s, Rick Strassman proposed a bold hypothesis that the spirit molecule, DMT, might be released during crucial life events like birth, death, or profound mystical experiences. Today, there is strong evidence suggesting that DMT is produced naturally in mammalian brains. Scientists are still investigating why that is. Early findings suggest that DMT release in the brain correlates with a massive surge of stress hormones. One experiment with lab rats showed a significant increase in DMT levels following cardiac arrest. Another study suggests that releasing DMT in the brain could also have a protective function. The compound appears to activate a receptor that helps brain cells survive oxygen deprivation and oxidative stress. So DMT might as well be a kind of built-in emergency medication for life-threatening situations. And a very recent study suggests that DMT levels in our brain might be much higher than previously assumed, and that it may be involved in a number of physiological processes. So here's what we know so far. DMT occurs naturally in plants, mammals, and humans. It's even considered endogenous, meaning our own bodies may produce it. We also know that when on DMT, our brain seems to be far more interconnected, that it activates so many different areas that it can feel like entering an entirely different world, one where we can communicate with all sorts of otherworldly beings. And in some cases, our brain gets so overwhelmed by this hyperconnected state that it thinks it's dying. But all of this is just the beginning. Early clues, hypotheses, and indications. Nothing more and nothing less. Most of the questions DMT poses to science are still wide open. For now, DMT remains a vast, unsolved mystery. We still don't fully understand how it creates such vivid hallucinations. We don't really know why our own body produces it, and we certainly don't understand how 50 milligrams of this tiny molecule can reshape entire lives in just 20 minutes. We're back in the Amazon rainforest, about 170 years after Richard Spruce. Once again, a British researcher is attending an ayahuasca ceremony. But things are different this time. Simon Ruffle is not a botanist, he's a psychiatrist. Unlike Spruce, he knows exactly what active compound he's dealing with. For the past decade, he's been studying ayahuasca to explore its potential role in healing trauma, like PTSD in war veterans. But so far, the number of participants has been too small for conclusive results, and some of them feel their mental health has worsened after the ayahuasca experience. But others show first signs of improvement. In some participants, Ruffle has observed significant reductions in depression and anxiety outcomes. Timmerman has seen similar indicators in his own research. His theory:
Depressed individuals tend to think that they are worthless individuals, that they are unlovable, for example. They adopt beliefs that are no longer useful for them. What DMT does, it acts on these brain mechanisms that are related to that sense of self and dynamically can change it in a lasting way.
Some studies suggest that meditation and other mindfulness-based practices could offer positive effects that are similar to those of psychedelic experiences. But research on that is also just beginning. Chris Timmerman will continue to explore DMT's medical use, but he's also looking to unravel an even bigger mystery: human consciousness itself.
I'm particularly interested in
subscribing to the channel. If you enjoyed this one, Make sure to show that love. Tap in with the streams, man. We be going crazy Wednesdays, Sundays. Catch your boy at 6 p.m. or earlier. Love y'all. Have a good rest of your day.